out there in Kenosha, not only response to this news conference, but also some protests that are underway as we speak. We have Fox 6's Sam Kramer to kind of give us a debrief of what we need to know at this point in time. Sam, what's the latest?
Yeah, hi there. It's been an interesting day so far here in Kenosha. We've heard really since August 23rd. That was the day Jacob Blake was shot. His family's been very active in the streets here, marching, protesting, continuing their message that they feel justice needs to be served. Of course, today, Kenosha County District Attorney Michael Gravely handing down that decision that he says the proof just is not there to charge the three officers, and mainly Officer Rustin Shesky, involved in the shooting of Blake again on August 23rd. There's a small protest moving around Kenosha right now. It's being led by Justin Blake. He is Jacob Blake's uncle. He's probably been the most vocal of the Blake family here. He travels up from Chicago, and he works very closely with some of the activists in Kenosha, mainly the leaders of Kenosha and other groups here, and they are continuing that message that they say they feel that justice was not served today. They actually, attorney for the family says that they believe the evidence in that video is right there, that they could pursue attempted homicide charges. So they are going to continue that pursuit of justice. It's a small group tonight, probably around 20 to 30 people marching. It is a cold night here in Wisconsin, temperatures dipping right around the 20 to 25 degree range. And actually, we are in downtown Kenosha. A few blocks behind me is the Kenosha County Courthouse, where there's a large fence set up. The city really did learn from what happened last time when they had millions of dollars in property damage from torched fire trucks and private businesses, to including the actions of Kyle Rittenhouse, who of course is facing charges for shooting and killing protesters there. So far tonight it is quiet, and to be frank, that was almost expected because the DA kept his announcement of this decision private. He said he informed the city it would happen within a 2-week window, which began yesterday. So we do expect protests to perhaps pick up in the next few days now that more people are aware of what happened, but so far relatively quiet here tonight in Kenosha.
Yeah, Sam, that was going to be my next question is, was this decision a shock to not only the family, but Ben Crump, the attorney? They said that they did inform Jacob Blake before the news conference about it. What are you hearing on your end, and what's the response?
It's a good question, and frankly, it depends who you ask. There are a lot of people that have seen this scenario when a black person is met by a police officer, mainly white, that they feel like they know how this goes. I talked to a lot of people in downtown Kenosha today who say they're not surprised at this decision. Frankly, it's what they expected. They just hoped that something would be different. You mentioned it there. The family was surprised. Again, Attorney Ben Crump, Attorney B. Ivory Lamar have said all along they felt the evidence was in that very short clip of video, which we saw Officer Rustin Shesky. He's hanging on to Jacob Blake's shirt and then pulls the trigger there 7 times into his back and his side. The family obviously thinks that there was enough here to charge that officer. They've said all along they want him fired, charged, tried, and convicted, and they're going to continue that pursuit. I did hear from some business owners and other folks in downtown today that said they felt that he did make the right decision, that they thought that Blake was armed, which of course the DA did say today that he was in fact armed with a knife. Initially we had just thought that it was on the floorboard of the car, but no, he said Blake did have that knife in his hand. That is why the officers were shouting at him to drop the knife after they had tried tasing him twice, but were unsuccessful in those attempts. So to get back to it, it really does depend who you ask. Some people say they're not surprised. Others, again, say they were hoping that Kenosha perhaps could have made an example here.
And moving forward, what do you see as the future for Kenosha in the following days?
And really, it's going to be up to those that come here. We've talked to a lot of Kenoshans that say, look, we do not want to destroy our own city. A lot of people were sad to see there was a family furniture store that was severely burned down, a car lot where all the cars were torched, and the FBI is still looking for those responsible for that arson. So if you talk to people here in Kenosha, they say they do not want to see their city burn, and frankly, the mayor doesn't either. He's already declared an emergency here. That's going to give him broad powers to handle things. Last time they instituted a curfew, they haven't so far, but of course that could change. The fence is back up just a couple blocks that way outside of the courthouse. It seems like they're taking a much more hands-on approach this time. And it's important to note, too, the Blake family has said all along they believe peaceful, nonviolent protests are what they want. They want to be loud, they want their message to be heard, but they do not accept, they do not condone the destructive actions that we saw here at the end of August, which really put Kenosha into this national spotlight.
All right, well, we will be following this developing story as we got those updates today that no charges will be brought against those police officers. We want to thank you, Sam Kramer with Fox 6, for your coverage. We'll reach back out when we learn more.
Thank you.
So again, you're watching News Now from Fox, and that was a story that we were covering for hours today with that news conference, and then hearing from the family of Jacob Blake and from the attorney, Ben Crump, as well. This won't be the last that we hear it, and we saw protests a little bit earlier. They seemed mostly peaceful from the shots that we were looking at. If we get any of those, we'll bring them back to you here on News Now from Fox. As we were in that live report, Governor Brian Kemp actually stepped up to the podium.